But now it's time to ask you everyone's most favorite and familiar question. What was your first computer?
It was a Pentium 133.
Oh.
So it's going back quite a long way. I still remember my dad taking me to pick it up in Plymouth, and it cost about, I think it was like almost £1,200 at the time. So it was like extremely expensive, and yeah, but I still remember the day we picked it up and I was so excited. Yeah.
So what's the first thing you did with it when you got it home? You had maybe Windows 95, something like that?
Yeah, I think it was 95, and the first thing I did, I think, was play pinball.
Oh, yeah, old
the
Space
built-in
Cadet,
Microsoft Pinball Space Cadet.
Yeah.
And I got to admit, I did some work on it as like clip art at the time. So when I was doing like a school project, I'd use really tacky clip art pictures on my work.
Oh, I know.
And I was also a big gamer. I got to admit, I was majorly into gaming as a kid, and even as an adult at some points when I get time. But yeah, I absolutely loved it.
One of the main things I remember about the Pentium is that's when I learned how new computers ruined old computers. Because I had like a 486 or whatever, and I would play TIE Fighter and X-Wing. It was all right, and I had a joystick. And then I went to my friend's, and he had the new Pentium. And so I was like, well, I'll try this out, get some new Pentium action. It ruined my old computer. Apparently, I was used to waiting 8 seconds for this to load and 8 seconds for that for load. And then the Pentium loaded in 5 seconds. And then I went back to the 8 seconds, and I was like, no, my computer's awful and slow. Like, I can't even play these games anymore. And I couldn't afford a Pentium for much, much later, but it was an amazing chip and some great games. So what kind of games did you play at that time? I played, obviously, flight sims. But
I think I was always into my first-person shooters.
Oh, yeah.
So it started off on Doom.
Sure.
And then from there went into like, obviously Half-Life changed everything.
Yeah,
that was one game that blew my
mind.
mind. It absolutely blew my mind, Half-Life. I played that game, I can't even imagine how many times. But yeah, definitely first-person shooters. Then BioShock came along, and yeah, I could probably like do a timeline of my life in first-person shooters. But BioShock and Half-Life were really two series that absolutely blew my mind. And I really think that BioShock and Rapture, the underwater city, would definitely have used Bitcoin, being like a libertarian society.
BioShock's the one with kind of the Ayn Rand society and the strange undersea creature type things. I've read a little about it. It sounds like a game I'd love, but I never got to it at the time.
It's regarded as one of the best games ever made in the history of gaming. It's a masterpiece. You can play it 20 times and still be absolutely enthralled. Like, it's that
amazing,
good.
Yeah. The only one I got through recently was Watch Dogs. It was really good. It's like a Grand Theft Auto with hacking. So you just like push a button and hack someone's phone, and then you're listening to them, and has a whole thing like that. It's a pretty fun game.
Yeah, that's good.